Paul Mokeski has become kind of a cult hero in Milwaukee, Tommy.
Fred Roberts hits Mokeski at the other end.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of We Got Next. I'm Rickey Hampton with my great friend, Paul Mokeski, former Milwaukee Bucks center. And it's not Monday, but Mo and I said with some big news is going on, when there are things that need to be talked about in the NBA, that we would jump on from time to time and just really let Mo give some insight on what is going on, considering all his years in the National Basketball Association. And Mo, you called this when we were on the air last week, that don't be surprised if Giannis asks for a trade. And now stories are breaking left and right this week that he wants to be moved out of Milwaukee. His coach, Doc Rivers, says, no, that's not true. I talk to Giannis all the time, and he hasn't said anything about wanting to leave Milwaukee, that Giannis loves Milwaukee. And Mo, I'm sure Giannis loves Milwaukee, but that has nothing to do with the business side of the game.
As soon as a coach or general manager or athletic director say, that's not true, what you're hearing is not true, you didn't say that means it's true. And it's about to be done. So, and I brought this up Monday, and it's time to trade Giannis. I mean, he's a top level player. Obviously, he's been MVP twice, I think. But in my opinion, he doesn't help his teammates get any better, right? And here is the evidence, people out there that doubt me. They won the championship in 2021. 2022, lost in the first round. 2023, lost in the first round. 2024, lost in the first round. 2025, lost in the first round. There's your evidence. I mean, and he was hurt one of those years, I think, in the playoffs, but they haven't got out of the first round in the East in 4 years. Come on, man. So, I think the injury is going to put a wrinkle in this and probably delay it somewhat. But, it's time to move on and go another direction. If it's not working, we just keep banging your head against the wall. That's what the Bible said. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, you're a fool. That's what the Bible says. I mean, I know he's been great for the city. He brought a ring, and he played really hard. But his free throws are terrible. His 3-point shooting is horrible. His passing is getting a little better. But the results are the results, and you're going to pay him $217 million over the next 4 or 5 years. You want to get out of the first round, right? I mean,
yeah, and that's almost inconceivable that they have not been able to do that. I mean, with a player of his caliber. But I think it goes to show you, I agree, he doesn't make people around him better.
No, I mean, look at Joker, look at even Luka, who averaged like 10 assists a game, or but there's other. Giannis plays defense, plays hard, blocks shots, runs the floor. Around the basket, forget about it. Get out of his way. He's another version of Shaq or Daryl Dawkins or Wilt Chamberlain. He'll get out of the way because he's going to dunk on you. But it's the results are the results. And here's what happens. A lot of times NBA teams are scared to make moves with big players, and they wait too long. So, you got to get what you can get and make a decision. 4 years. You haven't got out of the first round in 4 years. It's time to pull the plug, get what you can, get younger, get draft picks, get some talent, young talent, and start this all over again. Look at the Spurs, what they did. Look at OKC, over the last 4 years, what they've done. It's time to do that, or you're just going to hopefully maybe we get to the second round this year. What good is that?
Well Mo, let's start here. I want to go back. I want to talk about last night. I happened to be watching that game. They played the Pistons, and we gave one away, blew an 18-point game. I think the Pistons need Chris Paul to help organize that offense 10 or 15 minutes a game because we turned the ball over too much. We did too much of that last night. That's how they got in the game. But that's another story. Giannis went down about 3 minutes into the game, Mo, and I texted you immediately, and I was really afraid for him because no one was near him when he went down. Yep. And we have seen this before. We have talked about this before. And he went straight to the locker room. At first, they said he was questionable, but he was not coming back on that court, and he did not come back. Secondly, if he gets healthy, what's a good place for him? Because as good as he is, he can't just go anywhere and make a team better. Because now I'm going to one of Mo's rules. It's not the 5 best players, but the 5 players who played best together.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
with that injury and then move from there.
Well, first of all, it's not going to be easy. He makes $57 million a year. He's going to make over $200 million over the next 4 or 5 years. So if you want Giannis, you're going to have to give up players with big salaries, which are usually good players, right? Because you have to come up with $57 million. So you're not. No one's going to trade Luka or Steph or someone like that. Those are the people. Joker. Those are the people that make $60 million a year. No one's going to do that. So you're going to have to get a combination of players and draft picks that equal that. And at the same time, what you don't want to do is trade Giannis and get garbage back. So you don't want old, broken down players who can't play anymore, but they have nice contracts. You might have to get one of those to make the salaries work. But you want younger players with talent that fit your team and where you're going, and some draft picks. Draft picks are only good if they're top 10, really. I mean, or else you're going to have to get lucky. So, and Giannis has said he wants to be traded to somewhere that is a winner and has a chance to win a championship. Well, there go, cut half the league out. There's half the league,
yeah, exactly.
Right? So, and then, it takes 2 to tango. And unless you have a willing partner, it's going to be hard to make this work for both teams. And I'm high on win-win situation. I know there's most of the GMs and owners and stuff in the league, they want to screw people. They want to get one over on you. They want to say, look at this trade. We got the best of that trade. Yay. And pound their chest and say we're great front office. But I'm a proponent of, how about a win-win situation? Where, you don't have to give up the farm to get him, one of the best players in the league. And, we get what we want coming back. And that's a very difficult thing to do. I mean, let's talk about where's the first place he talked about he wanted to go, right? New York Knicks. They talked this summer about a trade. And the New York Knicks are struggling a little bit. They are 4th in the East, but it's still early. And let's remember, the Bucks are 10th in the East. They're barely in the play-in right now. In order to make this work, if you want to get Giannis and you're the Knicks and maybe on the Bucks, here's what I want. I want a younger talent that could flourish where we're at. I want Anunoby, very athletic wing that plays really hard. He kind of plays like Giannis. And he just signed a new deal. And he averages 16 points and 6 rebounds a game. He's 28 years old. He's coming into his prime, and he makes $42 million. He just signed a deal. So that helps a lot. Then, I might, and then there's a guy on that roster that I kind of like. His name's Miles McBride. He's a 6'2" guard. He's 25 years old. He's averaging 11 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists for that Knicks team. But he's a young guard you could put in your backcourt and I kind of like him. And maybe you try and get someone like Mikal Bridges, who's he makes $24 million. He's 29 years old. He's averaging 17 points, so he's got some miles on him still. And here's what I really want. Here's the kicker. I want your first round draft pick next year that you have from the Washington team. Washington team is bottom of the barrel. They're going to get a top 5 pick. Might be 1, might be 2, but it's going to be a top 10 pick. And that's what I want. And the money works out because if you're looking at a top 5 pick next year, which is going to be a good draft, and you know how I am about first rounders. I think they're a dime a dozen. They're hit or miss, right? But next year, they have a wing. He's Darren Peterson. He's at KU. He's supposed to be really athletic. He's projected to be the first pick, but he's been hurt all year. And I'm hearing grumblings about his attitude in KU. So I don't know about that one. But then you got AJ Bansti, or whatever his name is, from BYU. He's a wing. He's averaging 20 and 6. You have Cameron Boozer. We know his dad. Who played a long time in the league. He plays for Duke, and he's averaging 22 points and 10 rebounds. Now, he's an undersized power guy. He's only about 6'8", maybe 6'9", but he knows how to play. He can score around the rim, and he's a solid player. I like him as a pick. You have Caleb Wilson, who's averaging 20 points and 9 rebounds. He's like a stretch 4 for North Carolina, so he could be a future. There's actual draft picks. If you get the Washington draft pick, you're looking at one of those guys who can plug in.
Get a good player.
Yeah. So, if the Knicks, if I'm talking to the Knicks, you want Giannis, and you want to have a roster of, Giannis, Towns, Brunson, Hart, Jordan Clarkson, Schmidt, that you think can make a run in the East. We need these guys, young players. We need the salaries to make it work. And then I want that draft pick. I want Washington's draft pick.
Well, before all this broke, you were talking about, what were you sensing?
That, first of all, Giannis hasn't been happy there for a while. So, and they've been eliminated in their first round for the last 4 years, and he wants to be a winner, and he said that. And the Bucks, sold the farm a few years ago by trading for Lillard, and that didn't work. And then Lillard got hurt, and now he's kind of at it again. That I want to win, and I want to, compete for a championship, and they're not there. They're just not there with what they have anymore.
So tell me this: if they trade him, do they have to trade his brother too? Does he have to?
Yes, sure. I mean, as soon as they trade Giannis, if the team doesn't take, there's 2 brothers there, other brothers. There's 2 of them. One's making $2 million a year. He can't play, and then the other guy's making $600,000. He's a younger prospect. He's a 2-way player. So as soon as they trade Giannis, if they don't include him in the trade, they're going to cut both those guys, obviously. So you can actually throw one of the brothers in, the one brother that makes almost $3 million, to help the salaries work out. But think about this though. And now, if I'm the Bucks, you can't trade Giannis. Look what happened to Dallas when they traded Luka. No, man, look at that. But let's look at our team. We've lost in the first round for 4 straight years. Giannis is a great player. We love Giannis, but we're not going anywhere with this roster, and we have no wiggle room salary-wise. He's going to make $63 million next year or 2 years from now, whatever. But if you do make that move, just think about this roster for the Milwaukee Bucks. You have Turner, who's having a bad year, but he's a good big from Indiana they picked up, right? You have Anunoby, who's having a good year. You have Bridges, who's averaging 17 points a game. Ryan Rollins, who is a rookie they never expected to, and he's averaging like 16 points a game. You got Portis, you got AJ Green, you got Jericho Sims, you got Prince, Gary Harris, Trent Jr., Kevin Porter, and that's a legitimate roster, right? I can go to battle with that. You got a lot of different pieces, and now you're deeper than you were. and you got probably a top 5 draft pick next year. I mean, I'm doing that move.
Yeah, I hear you. Now they say again, Doc Rivers is saying I talked to Giannis and he says he loves it, and they say he's going to be down 2 to 4 weeks, but you don't think that's going to be the case either?
No, I mean, I watched it quite a few times, and at first I thought non-contact he popped his Achilles. That's what I thought at first. But when you look at it, when you pop your Achilles, you just look at Tatum and Lillard, I think, and whoever's popped their Achilles, Halliburton. When you pop your Achilles and you're running and you turn around like someone kicked you in the calf or stabbed you with a knife. That's what they think. And then what they say afterwards is, I heard a pop. That's what they say. You can see sometimes they're sitting on the ground and they look at their Achilles and the trainer comes over and they go, I heard a pop. And that's when you know it's an Achilles. Well, Giannis went down with a no contact, but he didn't turn around and look behind him like someone kicked him. But when he went down, he was sitting there for a while, and the people went up to him. He didn't say, I heard a pop. He said, I think I did something to my calf. So maybe it is a calf strain, but either way, a calf strain is the next step to popping your Achilles. That's what Kevin Durant did. That's what all these guys. So it's the next step, and you have to be very cautious with that. And it's throwing a wrinkle in this trade because no one's going to really trade for Giannis right now, unless you are sure about his injury, and which this puts the Bucks in a worse, less power situation for a trade, because the guy, if you're talking to the Knicks or whoever, they go, wait a minute, your guy's hurt. We don't know if you guys hurt. So that's a negotiation ploy, but they're going to take their time. It's 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, I think, is where he's going to be down. And you know me, I've had foot surgeries, 6 of them or 7 of them. And so I reached out to my orthopedic surgeon, my foot guy that's operated on me. And I said, let me ask you a question. All these Achilles injuries that are happening. And usually the other thing, Ricky, you noticed, and I pointed out before, the negative step is when they pop their Achilles. They put their foot back and then they push off, and that stretches the Achilles and then it pops it. And it's a wear and tear also. It's wear and tear of that. Every time you step, your Achilles is moving. And, it's stretching that out. But I asked him, I said, let me ask you this, because this is my opinion, wrong or right. I think a lot of it has to do with, obviously wear and tear, but the shoes they wear. They all wear low tops. No one wears even 3/4, let alone high top. And I asked him, is wearing a high top shoe, would that help you deter you of popping your Achilles or hurting you? He goes, yeah, absolutely. It would help in that way. And then I asked about ankle taping, because we used to always tape our ankles. And he said that would help also. Both those things would help. But the main thing is you have to be able to stretch and make sure you're stretched out before you get in the game and play and all that stuff and recovery. And then you have to keep an eye on it, because if there's any swelling behind there in your Achilles ankle area, that's a sign of you have a problem. And I don't think players and even front trainers and stuff in the NBA are paying enough attention to it. And it's mind-boggling, because see how many there have been over the last 5 years. It's crazy.
It is. Hey, Paul, when did the league start going away from having your ankles taped? You played in from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and you guys taped up all the time. When did that kind of dissipate?
Well, it started when I was with the Bucks, 2000s, early 2000s. No one was really taping their ankles back then, even, and except for Dirk. Dirk had bad ankles, and he taped them all the time. But I think it started, way back then in the early 2000s when, I don't know. It's kind of uncomfortable. It's not like, it's a little uncomfortable. And, then some players used to go to those ankle braces, that work around and you tie them. Yeah. And even that helps. But a lot of it, I think, The shoes today, they all wear low tops because they look cool, and they have better grip than they've ever had, right? The shoes have better grip, and they even have, the sticky things on the side of the court that they step on. That's sticky adhesive.
Right.
So when you go on the floor, your foot can stick more, and that's a problem also. So,
I think about. I think Zion was at Duke. He literally jumped out of his shoe.
he tore it. It tore.
You remember that?
It
These
ripped.
guys
Yeah.
are so strong and fast and jump so high. I mean,
It
the
ripped.
physics come into play too.
Yeah, his shoe ripped. It ripped from the foundation. So, but that's the torque that shoes are taking. And guess what? When your shoes take it, so do your ankles, your feet, and your
Right.
Achilles. It all takes
Yeah.
it. Then it goes up to the knees and the back and so on and so forth.
Mo, we got a lot of people tuned in. Hey, any questions and comments? We're just going a few more minutes tonight. I get ready to watch my mighty, hey Mo, Detroit Lions. I already got my shirt on. This is do or die for us tonight. I think it's going to be the latter, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're still in there. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, we got to have this one. But Mo, just on another subject, right quick, and any questions you guys got out there,
throw them out there, baby.
type them in,
That's what we're here for.
and we'll try to get to them before we get off the air. Mo, Chris Paul was released the other day by the Clippers. They're having a terrible year. Ty Lue, the coach there, said, he really hated to do that. He has so much respect for Chris Paul, but he wasn't a fit for the team.
Yeah, he had so much respect for him that he didn't talk to him for the last month and
Yeah.
denied him a meeting. Come on, man. But the one thing he did say is it's not a good fit. We thought it's not a good fit. Chris Paul is not your normal guy. And I'm not talking about playing wise on the court. I'm talking about the way he acts. He's very demanding. He holds players accountable. He doesn't BS around. He's going to say what he thinks, no matter who you are, the backup guy or the star. And I like that. But sometimes teams aren't made to take that, especially from some guy that just he knows all those guys, but he hasn't been with the team. And now, and the other thing is he's criticizing the coaching staff and the front office. And that's obviously a no-no. And,
And another thing, you can do that when you're the best player on the team. He's not the best player on the team anymore.
Yeah, well, let's go sidestep. John Morant, right? So at some point, you're not good enough to get away with the crap you're doing. And John Morant is realizing that right now. And, Chris Paul has a lot of respect around the league. And, you would think it would be a good fit, but it just wasn't. And he was irritating people. And, people don't understand. No, it's game times, but it's practice, locker room, video room, on the airplane, on the bus. All that takes into account. And when I was with Charlotte, we were a below average team, but we had a guard that he was starting for us, and he just didn't fit, and the guys didn't like him, and he wasn't performing really. And off the court, it was a question, and but we didn't really have a backup for him. We were and I remember Sam Vincent, who was the head coach. We had this discussion a lot. What do we do? How do we talk to him? We told him stuff. We gave him suggestions. He didn't take any. He didn't listen. So, I'm like, at some point, I'm like, Sam, we got to let him go. I know on the court, it's going to hurt us because we don't really have a backup. We're going to have to piece some things together and find somebody. But at the same time, he's tearing down the team, even though we're not that good. People not having fun and not playing hard, whatever. And I remember we were on the road, just like it happened to Chris Paul, and we were we're having breakfast or lunch. It was the day before the game, and I was eating with Sam, and we were talking about it. I said, let's do it, man. Let's move on. And he cut that guy that afternoon. He cut him and sent him home. And we played in the East, and we went to Denver, and we went somewhere else. And I think we won a couple games, but it was like a storm cloud broke up and left the team, and the sun was shining in, and everybody had more energy, and everybody felt better. And it was just like a storm cloud had passed by and left us. So sometimes you got to do that.
Well, I really think we could use him in Detroit.
Well, you don't know that though. You don't know that. So
here's what I know: we need somebody like Schroeder, so K doesn't have to handle the ball so much.
Yeah, but that's two different personalities. Schroeder's been around. He's bounced around, helped teams. Okay, you got Cade Cunningham, right? Your best player, right? And he handles the ball. So how is he going to take it in a week or so when he turns the ball over or something, and Chris Paul jumps all over him, cusses him out?
Good, because I'm cussing him out through the TV.
Yeah, but yeah, so I don't know him that well, but especially young players, they don't like that. And now what do you got? You got another guy you picked up, and a month later, the other players don't like him. Aren't you in first place right now? Aren't you in first place?
Yeah.
Okay, sit back and relax. You're in first place.
Yeah.
Stop cussing at the TV.
Hey man, I'm a Detroit fan. We don't know how to relax.
I know, but you got to take that into consideration, right?
No, I get what you're saying.
And you also have other young players on that team, so he's cussing them out too. Now, how do you feel? And you have a great mentality now. The new coach came in, and everything's going well, and you're going to bring in not a guy on the court that's going to play that much, but you think is going to be a leader, but he's going to be impactful one way or the other, and you don't know which way that is yet. That's dangerous, real dangerous.
Hey, Mo, what would be I know it's kind of hard to say this because you don't know what a team is going to have to give up, but who would be the best landing spot for Giannis?
I don't know that because I don't want to deal with what ifs, because most of those what if scenarios that people are talking about are ridiculous, and it doesn't work either financially or for a team. I gave you the scenario with the Knicks. I think that would work. And I think that would help both teams out. The other one I looked at, and it might not make Giannis happy, but so what? So what? What about Atlanta? Atlanta I heard this opportunity out there. Atlanta would get Giannis, Cole Anthony, and then Giannis's brother. And the Bucks would get Trae Young, Zach or Satcher. I don't know how to say that. He's a French guy. His first round pick 3 years ago. That's
Rickey?
Yeah, who's been a bust. For 3 years, he's averaged 11 points and 3 rebounds. He's a bust, but he's only 20 years old. Yeah. And he's athletic, and and then 4 or 5 of their first rounders, and that I might want to do that move. Trae Young is 27. He can score. He's having his worst season ever. He's averaging 18 points and 8 assists. And for most of his career, he's averaged 28 points and 10 or 11 assists. So he's having a bad year. So Atlanta might be willing to part with that. Atlanta has some younger players, Jalen Johnson.
Good player. Jalen Johnson, good player.
So's Alexander Walker. He's averaging 20. They have some young players that are averaging, 20 and 15 to build around. You bring Giannis in there. Giannis is going to control that because Giannis has to go somewhere where he can dribble the ball down and dunk on people. That's his motto. But his attitude, that might be a good move for Atlanta. And then with the Bucks, you get Trae Young, who's a legitimate player. You get Zach, the Richard, whatever the hell his name is, who he's still only 20 years old. He's been a bust so far, but you never know. And then you have a legitimate team with a lot of draft picks, 4 or 5 draft picks. And then you got Trent, you got Porter, you get Trae Young, you got Turner, You got well, how
You
do you
know,
say his name?
Porzingis is on that roster too. He hadn't played.
He's done. Porzingis is done. They haven't found out what his sickness is. He's never going to play again. Porzingis is done.
Wow.
Yeah, and you got AJ Green, you got Prince, you got Kuzma. So you got a better, younger Bucks team with draft picks. But yeah, Porzingis is done. They never figured out what his sickness was when it started in Boston. They haven't figured it out yet.
Wow.
And I think his career's over, I think.
Oh, Mo, before we get out of here, man, Elder Campbell passed away.
Yeah.
Played 15 years in the NBA, was on the Pistons 2004 championship team, played about 10 minutes a game and filled his role beautifully. 57 years old. I'm sure you ran across him during your time working in the NBA.
Yeah, he played with the Lakers. That's where he really had a career. He was a great. I think he started a lot with the Lakers, and I don't know if we won a championship. He probably did there. But he was he was a big, that could rebound. Kind of reminded me of like a Kevin Willis type guy. Kind of that kind of player. Really accepted his role, which I loved. And he was a guy that everybody liked on the team. You could add him to any team, unlike some people we just talked about.
Yeah.
He would fit right in, which what he did with the Pistons. So it's sad because we just had Lenny Wilkins pass away. Over the last few years, David Greenwood's passed away. We've had so many players pass away that it's not a big family. I think less than 5,000 players have ever played in the NBA over the last 100 years, and it's really sad to lose them, and especially that young. It's just
Do you think anybody will pick Chris Paul up?
I don't know.
I don't even know if he wants to play anymore. I don't.
Yeah, and actually, he's not. They didn't waive him. He's still on the roster with the Clippers.
Oh, I thought they released him.
No, they sent him home. They didn't waive him. He's still on the roster.
What's his legacy going to be, Mo?
I think one of the great point guards, true point guards. He's in the category. Who do you think about? With great point guards. The Bob Cousy's, Isaiah Thomas's, John Stockton's. Guys like that, right? And then you have this other sub kind of group, and I think he's going to fit in there. And you know who else is in there who shouldn't be in there? Steve Nash. Steve Nash is in that. He's never considered one of the best point guards. He was MVP of the league for two years in a row. But I think that's where Chris Paul's going to end up, in kind of that second level.
And Mo, when Steve Nash came into the league, I said, "Oh man, he can't play. He's from Canada."
That's not true anymore. They have the most NBA players on their national team. But Steve was he was Steph Curry before Steph Curry. Too small, too slow. Not really a point. It's the same.
He was amazing. Where the places he could get to, and the way he could create situations for other guys.
I mean, I played with some great players. I've seen great players, but when I was with the Mavericks when I first got there, they had Mike Finley from Wisconsin as the two. They had Steve Nash and they had Dirk Nowitzki, and then they had other role players. But those three guys, it was special, and their relationship was special. And Steve's relationship with Dirk, Steve was phenomenal. People took him for granted, how good he was,
Yeah.
He's Austin Reeves on steroids.
Wow, his improvement, Austin Reeves' improvement is unbelievable. Kay Cunningham's improvement, because a lot of people were saying he was a bust, but man, he stayed in Detroit over the summer and worked on his game, and And really, if you put that time in, you can see a difference in players.
Yeah, and that's one thing about drafting and adding players that is overlooked that you really got to focus on: personality, heart, basketball IQ, determination. It's not all foot speed and arm length and shooting ability and ball handling. That's not everything. The other tangibles are just as important to me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Mo, we're gonna get out of here, man. I got to get my mind right. Everything's on the line for the Pistons. Mo, we had a great crowd in here. Everybody was checking us out tonight. We appreciate all you all for jumping in.
We didn't have any questions or comments? No questions or comments?
No questions or comments. I want to just hear you break this thing down. But Mo, the funny thing.
Well, everybody out there, join us on Mondays.
Well, Monday is 7:00. But Mo, the whole funny thing about this is when this news started breaking, I'm like, if people had been watching We Got Next, they would already know this was. Listen, trying to brag or nothing. That's just the way it was.
I talked about it a year ago. I mean, I was a Buck for almost 8 years. Great memories. Both our kids were born in Milwaukee. I love the Bucks. I love Giannis, but I think stuff has gotten to his head. He was a guy that played hard, played defense, wanted to win the most. Now he's talking about, I want to go win somewhere, whatever, and we got to make changes and blah, blah, blah. And that rubs me a little bit wrong, but the facts are the facts. I think he was MVP of the league for twice, I think, if I'm not.
Yeah.
And I've said this on our show. He's one of the most unskilled MVPs ever in the NBA. I mean, physical specimen, dunk around the basket, block shots, plays hard, plays defense, but horrible three-point shooter, bad free throw shooter, and a below-average passer. Those are three things you need to do as a player, right? And not a good ball handler. So I guess you could take it either way. Maybe that's why he doesn't help his teammates as much as I would like to see. But also maybe that's a testament to how hard he plays and how far he's come, because he's done phenomenal stuff. He's done stuff for his family, for the community. And I don't want to knock him down, anything like that. But at some point, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, you have to make a decision and try to treat Giannis the best you can and put him in a situation. But if you're a front office person, a coach, or an owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, you need to do what's best for the Milwaukee Bucks. 1973 or 4, whatever, they traded Lou Alcindor, soon to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, to the Lakers for 5 or 6 players. And, it's kind of, I mean, Kareem was awesome in LA and won championships a lot, maybe because Magic was there. Magic wasn't in Milwaukee. They got Brian Winters and Gina Bridgman and a lot of other people. And in the 80s, we were one of the best teams in the league. So, I just hope this isn't serious injury. I hope he comes back, not too soon. Don't come back too soon. This is what happens. You kind of jog around and it feels really good and you say, I'm ready, and you're really not. It happens to a knee all the time, and it happens to this. Make sure you're 100% and before you come back. And I think that's 4 to 6 to 8 weeks probably.
Yeah. Well, man, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. You guys getting a standing ovation from us tonight. Appreciate y'all joining us.
The buttons, way to go, Ricky.
We'll be here Monday, 7:00.
Eastern time.
7:00 Eastern time. Until then, for my great friend Paul Mokeski, I'm Rickey Hampton. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Later.
Canada. Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
No, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.